or you're going to think, oh, wow, it's a pterodactyl,
especially at night. You know.
right? So that makes sense. Uh, Anyone else? Because, we're in the heart of Bigfoot country.
I
So,
think I think that Eric, I think the reason why Bigfoot is more popular than a lot of other cryptids is because unlike Chupacabra and some of the other regional, this is where you'll have to help me out. The other types of cryptic creatures that could be out there. I think the difference is that in just about every nation, in every part of the world, there's either a story of a Yeti or a Bigfoot compared to the Chupacabras being more of a local thing. I think we get a whole lot more information on the more famous monsters because they are more famous and they're out there and have been seen by more people.
And I would certainly agree with that. And again, it boils down to the same thing. It boils down to publicity and visibility.
Well, I got something to say about Bigfoot.
Well, the visibility part is a little tricky with the cryptids.
Well,
but
I have something.
Where it comes to the publicity, I agree wholeheartedly that because Bigfoot is in various different forms all over the world.
right.
Right, various different relations. They're easier to spot. Or easier to catch, to get the concept of.
Yeah, they're more common, too, especially in lore. Anyway, Gary, what were you going to say?
Well, about Bigfoot. I had an encounter up in the Canadian Rockies myself in 2002. And you know a little bit about it, Eric. But I'm going to tell you, they don't give off orbs. They're not fuzzy, warm, friendly creatures, at least my encounter. Now, I'm willing to take a polygraph test, any test you want to give to prove I saw one. But me and my friend, who was a medical doctor at the time, his father was a Superior Court judge in Pierce County. His brother was a very prominent criminal attorney in Pierce County, Washington. And they were fronting his money for his first, office, medical practice. And we decided to go up to the Canadian Rockies and go up to a Japanese internment camp that was used during World War II. Way out there, secluded. We had to go off to the side road, then hike in about 2.5 miles. Now, I saw a Bigfoot, and I'm going to be honest with you. I hear, because I get a lot of people on my show that, talk about Bigfoots. They never seen one. But what they do is read the frickin' internet. So everything, as you know, on the internet is true, 100% true. So everything they read, like I had a guy who bugged me for months wanting to come on my show, claiming he was a Bigfoot hunter of 20 years. Well, I finally called the guy up, talked to him. You know what his Bigfoot hunting for 20 years was? Reading books
Google.
And then Google. Yeah, he never went out and looked. Now, I didn't go out and look for a Bigfoot. We ran into him. I know what happened. And I tell you, I was in Vietnam in Special Forces. I never pissed my pants once in the military, not even through basic. I pissed my pants when that thing came after us. And did it give off lovable orbs and was it friendly? It was not friendly. So I kind of get, I treat all my guests that come on my show with respect. Does that, like Art Bell used to tell me when we used to talk on the phone a lot, it's entertainment. And that's what my show is. It's nothing more than entertainment. But I try to make it interesting. But I tell you, I get really offended when some people come on and never seen a Bigfoot and say, oh, they give off orbs. They give off fuzzy feelings. They do this and that. That's not true. It's not true. I'm sorry. I don't smoke pot and I don't drink. But sometimes when I talk to these people, I want to.
Yeah. You need a drink after the show.
No, or during it.
And I'm there with you. As far as I've heard, both sides of that fence. I've never heard of the whole orb thing. I do think they're interdimensional. I do think they're territorial. I think they can have the aggressive side by all means. And most of the Bigfoot encounters you hear about here in the Cascades, they're not friendly. They keep to themselves.
Well, they're not exactly social with Homo sapiens, that's for certain.
No. And I've heard, I've had witnesses in Darrington, for example, that actually encountered something that was Bigfoot-like and actually had a log thrown through their car window as they were driving down the road. So that's not a friendly, love and light orb throwing Bigfoot. That's an aggressive one. On the flip side of that, Larry Anderson, our Bigfoot guy in FMP, like I've told on the show before, had a friend that went up and played guitar. He played guitar in the mountains for like 2 or 3 hours, left, came back the next day, and was gifted with flowers. Showing, Bigfoot apparently likes music. Is that a friendly being? No, he didn't come out and dance for the guy. He just left him some flowers. So, I don't think it's a being that you want to go trying to find. I don't think it's a being that you want to make friends
You
with.
certainly don't want to corner it.
No, not by any means.
But, like you, I've never heard of them giving off orbs before.
No.
There's a lot of people.
However,
That's what they really think that they communicate with them by giving off orbs and this, fuzzy feeling. That's not the case.
Right.
When I was talking
I know when I was growing up, there was a kid that used to pray to a light bulb, too. That worked out well.
Yeah, a dim light bulb, I hope.
No, unfortunately, his parents had actually, in his case, a little bit of a sidetrack there, but his parents had made sure that they kept the light bulb changed so it was always fresh. And then one day when he was praying to it, the parents had forgotten to change the bulb. It went out while he was praying. The guy snapped.
Interesting.
But I've never heard of any connection between Bigfoot and orbs, and especially using orbs to communicate with.
Oh, I've heard it a numerous amount of times with my guests on. Maybe I have strange guests. I don't know. But I another thing, like when I was talking to Boz, you don't, I do believe there could be somehow time slips, portals and things like that. Maybe that's how they're appearing. I don't know. I don't know how they're getting here. All I know, I was out in the middle of nowhere. But, is one thing. I had a guest on my show who was out looking for Bigfoot and all that stuff. And I said, do you take any protection? And he goes, yes, I carry a 6-inch knife with me. A pocket knife. I correct myself. A pocket knife.
He carries a pocket knife.
He carried a pocket knife going out and...
That's not called protection.
Well, he thought it was. And then I said to the guy, I said, aren't you worried about cougars or mountain lions or bear? When I was a little kid, my uncle almost died from a bear attack up at Mount Shasta, and that would have been like about 55 years ago. When I was up in the Canadian Rockies and we ran into the Bigfoot, we ended up going to a little store. It was like 15, 20 miles away from where we were at. We were shook up. We were talking to the guy, and the guy actually was a displaced American that went over there during the Vietnam War. But he said a week before that, a guy and his wife were out there in the woods. His wife got hurt, so he came and went and got help. And by the time they got back there to help, his wife was almost all eaten up by a bear.
I'm going to say, at a minimum, I don't go in the mountains with, at a minimum, my 9mm pistol with hollow point. That's at a minimum. Not
well, at least you
counting
got
knives.
something that'll stop somebody that isn't armored at that point.
Right. And if I'm hunting, I've got my 308 and my 9mm. But no, I don't believe in ever going in the mountains unarmed at all.
Well,
Yeah, no, if you're going in the mountains, I mean, a pocket knife is great if you're looking to carve, to do a little whittling while you're out there. But self-defense, you're hooped.
Right.
well, it's not just for animals. There are some people out if you go certain areas, you don't know what you can run across. So yeah, you need protection of some sort.
I mean, we have tweakers here, so yeah. So, Cole, what's your first question tonight?
Okay, so has anyone seen the post that Virgin Airlines just put up?
No.
Facebook. They just did their first successful passenger test flight into space.
Oh.
Huh. I haven't. That's brand new. I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay, so what they actually have are what they're calling space planes that they are sending up, and they've done their testing with just pilots. They have went through the FAA, and all their pilots are certified astronauts. And they took a pilot trainee up as a passenger on a commercial flight in one of these planes, 51 miles up into above the atmosphere.
Well, we knew that was going to happen. It's a natural step.
Huh. I don't know what to think about that.
This is going to advance us into actually having commercial flight in space.
So, Dave, pulling you into that topic, do you think Bigelow Industries is behind that one?
No, that is strictly Richard Branson who is doing that. And, you got to realize there's three major players in this game right now. You have Richard Branson from Virgin, you have Elon Musk from SpaceX, and then you have Robert Bigelow from Bigelow Aerospace who are in all of this. And that's really the key issue right there that you got to remember is that they are trying to find a way in order to make it more affordable for people to go. Like they're talking when they start launching Virgin Atlantic or that it's going to be probably the starting flights are going to be about $100,000 a piece for people to take this tour up into space. That's a lot of money. And for some, that's 10 years wages, if that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going to see a lot of that right now. But I mean, you look at flat screen TVs. At one point, it cost $5,000 to $10,000 to buy a 50-inch flat screen television, and now you can get them with better technology for about $1,000. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean, you start off expensive, and then as everything moves forward, it gets cheaper. I think the private space race is going to be very interesting. I love the fact that it is happening. What the key is, what's going to happen on the moon? Are we going to be having hotels on the moon? Are we going to be having, more types of scientific laboratories on the moon?
The answer to that would be yes.
Well, I mean, it's obvious that it's going to happen, but it's just a matter of who's going to make it happen first, because there are only very few people right now who have the pockets in order to do it.
Here's where it gets a little screwy. It already happened. They just haven't told you yet. I mean, granted.
Hotels, that's not fair. Those are prison cells, Keith.
I have no doubt that commercial flights, like parent-based commercial flights, are not happening on a regular basis right now. That is something that's just starting. But the issue of there already being trade centers out there and what have you, they've been there for a while. They're just not manned by humans yet.
Well, I mean, but Keith, you got to realize that there is a big debate. I mean, whether you want to believe in it or not, and I'm a believer in the secret space program, you do have to understand that until that comes out, we can only dissect what we have going on right now, and that's the fact that the secret space program, until they come out and admit it, it's unprovable. I mean, I love talking about it. I'm a big fan. It's one of my favorite topics to speak about, and to be hypothetical about. But until we get actual proof of it happening, we have to go with what's out there. And do I believe we already have bases on the moon and craft that can fly hypersonic and get you to the moon in a couple of hours instead of a couple of days? Yeah, I do. I do believe we are that advanced. Is there proof out there? Well, it all depends on what you consider proof. Most people would believe that there isn't the proof out there because it hasn't been shown. They don't believe people like Ben Rich the former Lockheed Skunk Works president, who stated that we already have the technology